Kyle Shanahan said Brock Purdy is aiming to pass the final step of concussion protocol on Saturday. If he does, he will start. Nick Wagner tweeted that. That's according to Kyle Shanahan. So,
I mean,
there you have it.
I hope he's healthy, and I definitely hope he starts.
That's all I care about, man.
I hope he starts
he's healthy.
He's better than Sam Darnold.
Well, I heard Sam Darnold was the best quarterback at camp.
Well, once again, Damian C. You didn't hear that from Kyle Shanahan.
I did not.
But it gets attributed. Like
Who
I said.
Who said that? Was it Matt Mayoka?
And all of a sudden, now that's Kyle's quote. Now that's Kyle's quote now all of a sudden.
Kyle did say that Brock Purdy was going to be the next Joe Montana.
He did?
No, that was Kenny.
Oh, yeah. I said he reminded me.
That's not how I'm telling the story.
But to your point, yes, that's Kyle's quote now too.
See, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
As
we welcome in
Kim Piffany sweatshirts made yet?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Kim Piffany.
Need those. I was early on that though. Now and people start talking about it later on.
Mm-hmm.
I was the first to say Brock in Montana.
Mm-hmm.
Saying when he wins 6.
Mm-hmm. It's not new. It's like when we were talking about the Kings and what they were capable of last year.
On KC, man. I'm
locally, everybody laughed, and then all of a sudden, Brian Windhurst mentions it, and it's leading your podcast. Okay, we see y'all. James Ham's here. James Ham of the Insiders, brought to you by Jiffy Lube. James Ham of Donut Friday, here in the building, keeping everybody fed and full of sugar every Friday. James, you're kicking off your, what number season is this? 13th? 14th season covering the Sacramento Kings. And I think it goes without saying, this is the first time you're starting the season with hope.
With hope. But real quick, we had asked this, I think, to Antonio Harvey. Damien talks about hope. This is probably the most positive home opener or season opener you've ever had.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, it's the first time that I've covered a season opener after they made the playoffs.
Yeah, well,
we
were talking about the Golden One Open and how there was
exciting.
Not the Golden One, the Save the team one. Yeah,
this is your team
with Mike Malone's
and they're here to stay.
First time as a coach. It was like, yeah, this it's not the same. There was vibes around the team that year, like they're headed in the right direction. They didn't last long, but there was certainly a feeling that this team is moving in the right direction that year.
I think there's also the vibes around when Golden One opened that year. I mean, that was fun. Yeah, I mean, like there has been positive vibes like here and there with this team. The early stuff was pretty crazy though. Like my first couple of years, just no way, no chance. It's just not happening. And then, like the 1 year with Rudy Gay and Isaiah Thomas and DeMarcus Cousins, I thought they had a shot. But overall, it's been a little rough, and I think it's good that you finally get to experience the other side, and it's really good that you come out in your first game and you punch a team right in the face, a team that is supposed to be a good basketball team that has playoff aspiration, just like you do. You came out and you thumped them, and like on to the next, and that's what I feel like this team is. It's on to the next. Like let's go. Like we don't have time to waste. I feel like this team wants the Warriors tonight. I feel like they want the Lakers on Sunday. They want the Warriors again on Wednesday, and then they're like, "Hey, all right, let's go. Where's this thing going to take us?"
Yeah. I know you have the. This is our first chance to talk to you since Wednesday, at least on the radio, and I know you and Kyle have the good, the bad, and the ugly after Kings games. What was the number one thing that stood out to you Wednesday night when the Kings got that win?
We've had all these discussions on who your surprise player is going to be and all this stuff, and who's your MVP and all that. I think the biggest thing was the obvious thing. It's that Harrison Barnes came out and looked like he was ready. He was like, we watched Harrison Barnes come out last year, and he was a big reason why the Kings struggled coming out of the gate, why they went 0-4. He really did not look connected at all with the team early in the season. And to see him come out this year and just look like a guy who is happy to be here and wants to put a stamp on the season, I think everyone just kind of writes him off and says, hey, it's okay if he takes a step back. It's okay if he averages 12 points a game this year or whatever. And I think it's not. Harrison Barnes needs to be Harrison Barnes for another 2 years while they start to transfer the power to Keegan Murray. But he's only 31 years old. We need him to play out his prime here and make sure that he's still, having these types of games. And you don't expect it every night, but for one night, you got to see like just how good Harrison Barnes still is. And I think that was a big deal. It now reminds people, okay, like, look, we got to cover Fox, we got to cover Sabonis, we got to cover Keegan, we got to cover Monk, we got to cover Harrison Barnes, and that's a big deal.
And if he's a guy that you have to game plan for, if you're the opposition, whether it's, like I said, my whole thing, I think I told you guys when I was, close up the show on the Insiders with you, doesn't have to be 33, 23, nothing like that. Just making sure you have an impact on the game somehow, some way. It might be 11 points, 9 rebounds one night. It might be 25 points, you know what I mean? But have an impact. And if you're somebody that on the scout for the other team, they have to take time to say, hey, we got to do something to keep him from doing this, that, or the third. That just makes the Kings that much more dangerous.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, that this team is built a very specific way. It's built around 2 stars, but not superstars. And like whether Fox and Sabonis can reach like superstar status, maybe. Like at least one of them, I think, has an opportunity to be like labeled something different. But for right now, they're star level players. And so when you have star level players, that means that you can't have just like run of the mill role players as your like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in your rotation.
Mhm.
You need really strong contributors that can do something different than the other guys can do. And I think some of the things that Harrison does that goes unnoticed is his ability to get to the free throw line. That's something that I think you want to like look at as like one thing, but like his ability to slow down the game within the game and have his team catch a break
Mhm.
and take a breath because they are pushing the tempo, they are playing more physical. Those things matter, and he's always been a guy for me who has a feel for the game, and while he's playing, you can see him processing what does my team need tonight, and I'm going to try to fill that role. And it doesn't always work, but for the most part, I think throughout his career here in Sacramento, which is now getting longer and longer and longer, which is surprising. I think he's done a really good job of having that sense, that understanding that tonight my team needs me to score 33
Mm.
because we're going to thump this team. We're going to run over this team. We're not going to look over there and say, hey, they have a 6'9" small forward and a 7-foot power forward and a 7'1" center. We're just going to run right through these guys.
I'm gonna tell Harrison the team needs him to score 33 every game. If that's all. Hey, Harrison, team needs you to score 33 because he was cooking on Wednesday night.
Oh no, he was
cooking. Love to see it from him.
Yeah.
What about Sasha? There was so much talk about Sasha in the preseason he had, and speculation as to obviously it was a little bit different with Trey Lyles, lack of availability. But there was questions about maybe Sasha's not really going to fit into the rotation right away. He stepped on the floor and looked like an NBA player.
I thought right away he looked like an NBA player.
Mhm.
Even some of the defensive plays, I didn't think he was bad defensively on the defensive end. I do think that there were moments where, okay, it's a little shaky. But even like the Jordan Clarkson thing going right at him, I thought he beat Jordan Clarkson to the spot. On the one on the one foul that they called in the middle of the key. I didn't think he was bad at all.
Got
And
taken out the game for that too.
yeah, he's getting taken out of the game because again, he's still working on the basics. And we still saw a moment where somebody threw the ball into the stands because he went to go dive down
Harrison,
to go down into the post on a cut and left his spot. Like, so there still are these moments where he's not fully up to speed with what's happening. And he, sort of relies on things that he's done in the past. And so he's going to get pulled if he's like allowing offensive players to get to the middle of the key. He is. And that's a good thing. Mike Brown is holding him accountable like he would any other player. It doesn't matter that he's a 28-year-old rookie. It doesn't. So he's holding him accountable. And I also like the little things in this game that I really loved. I love seeing Jordan Ford, number one, make his NBA debut. Like shout out Folsom High.
Yeah.
But also he just got the ball and ran right down and like shot it. Like, oh no, I'm here. I belong. Forget this. Like, I'm here to play like everybody else is.
Yeah.
And those are those moments where you're like, hey, like this team kind of has this feel, this moxie to them early on. And I want to see what they look like against better competition. And I also I want to see how many wins they can get to by like the end of December, because I think a lot of teams are not looking at the Kings as a team that's gonna like just bury them early. And I disagree. I think this team is gonna win way more games than people think, because they're hyper focused on the moment.
I agree. I agree. And you still, I still don't believe, to that point that you're talking about. I still don't believe like um, the whole league is gonna all of a sudden like, oh yeah, we're all trying to win 60 games. Like LeBron on a minute restriction. You know what I mean? Like Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, they're not rushing back. Like that's just how the league is right now. And I don't think the Kings play like that. I joked with you a little bit yesterday. They got off the plane in Utah, practice 12. See you guys there. Like we got work to do.
Yeah.
Like that's their mentality. That's how they go about things. And then that's why I think they're gonna still have the same ability to win all the games they won last year and more.
Yeah, I think Domantas Sabonis talked about it, like that Mike Brown basically reset the clock. He said, hey, whatever happened last year is now last year. Like, if you guys are going to be this team, then you got to go out and prove it again. You got to go out there and be that team again. And let's not limit who and what we can be by what people on the outside think, or, what another team might think. Like, let's go make our own destiny here. And I think it's a good approach to have. And, you don't want to be complacent, but I also like this team practices crazy. Like they got off the plane, you're right, on Thursday morning in the middle of the night, and then they had practice.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that's who they are. That this team is going to practice all the time. They're going to play hard, and they're going to be ready.
I think you brought up a great point. They're hyper focused. Like they're aware of what the goal is. And you hear teams talk often about shutting out the noise. This team feels like it really has. Like they've closed it, whether the Bleacher Reports, the ESPNs, the Kevin O'Connor's, all of they're not here. The D'Lo and KC's, they're not hearing any of that.
Good or bad.
Yeah,
they're
none
of it.
Yeah, they're and that sometimes is just as important, filtering out the good stuff, like taking all of that out, just blocking everything, good or bad, and staying focused on what your guys' goal is inside that practice facility, inside that arena.
Yeah, don't read your own press clippings.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think that you're the team to beat now. I mean, because no one else believes you're the team to beat.
Well, no one's beat them yet.
Yeah, no, that's true. But you know what I mean? Like,
no, I do. Yeah.
There isn't a team, like there isn't a national publication yet that's put them number 2 in the West that I've seen. And like you were number 3 and number 2 has taken a dive. Like number 2 is a hot mess. Why wouldn't you be number 2 now? And that's like people don't believe in it yet, and that's okay. Like they need to go out and prove it. And I kind of like that that they aren't garnering the respect yet, because that means they have to keep putting in that a little bit extra. They got to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah. Keep grinding, man. Keep grinding. I love it. What did you like from I'm assuming you like, I shouldn't assume, but Chris Duarte? I liked his minutes. He came in there, he was aggressive. He had his shots. Obviously, that's a good thing, but he picked up right where he left off before he got hurt. Like I think that's his game. I liked what I saw on Wednesday. I'm anxious to see how he plays out there tonight.
I like that we got him at practice yesterday, and I asked him about, that exact thing, like coming out and hitting your first couple of shots, just how good did that feel to kind of get in the rhythm? And he said, yeah, it's nice to have the shots go down, but I'm going to make my way on the defensive end on this team. And just kind of like push to the side. Like, sure, I need to hit those shots. I think the interesting thing about watching Duarte is he's the one player that you can see who is mentally trying to fight with what's happening on the court. So on the offensive end, it is not his first instinct to catch and shoot. His first instinct is a catch and to make some sort of move. and you can see him fighting it. And the fact that he hit shots is a big deal because he looked like whatever he's doing is unnatural to him, and he's trying to figure it out. He's trying to figure out how to play like the Sacramento Kings. And he talked about it like, he played with Domas in Indiana, but this thing isn't anything like Indiana. Like this thing is like Indiana on like 7 Red Bulls. Like in the speed of the Kings that they're playing at, and the way that you have to make decisions and all that stuff. We've seen like Davion struggle with it last year early on, the decision making portion. Like what is it, the 0.5 of a second? Like you can see Duarte actually thinking on the court, and it's like, oh no, I should just shoot this. And that's something that he's going to get better and better at as the season goes on. But the fact that he was able, again, to be in the moment and still hit those shots, even though he clearly was like, he's still learning, is a good thing. And again, remember that he didn't just miss a couple of preseason games. He missed all that practice time too. Like he was not cleared for full contact until like Monday, Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. He played full contact. He was not cleared on Monday for full contact. And again, Trey Lyles hasn't been cleared for full contact yet. So yeah, it's like this process of getting a player in your system, but then really like speeding up the maturation. And it might be a good thing for the Kings that Trey Lyles misses a few games here early in the season, because it's giving Sasha an opportunity to play and to find success, especially against a team like look at what is he going to go up against on Golden State at the power forward position that really scares you. Like Kuminga can play and he can score, but he's not like going up against LeBron James a couple of nights later, or even going up against Christian Wood a couple of nights later as a backup power forward for the Lakers. So there is sort of like this momentum building for him to get on the court and actually have some success too.
You're listening to D-Lo and KC on KIFM West Sacramento, 98.5 FM KRX QHD2 Sacramento, ESPN 1320, always live on the free Odyssey app. Our 1320 Kings Insider of the Insiders, brought to you by Jiffy Lube. Our man James Ham here with us as the Kings open up the home portion of their schedule tonight against the Golden State Warriors. You mentioned Trey Lyles. It doesn't sound like we're nearing a return for Trey Lyles within the next.
Yeah, we haven't seen him. Yeah, we haven't seen him out there. So, even yesterday, Kevin Huerter was shooting with De'Aaron Fox after practice, not Trey. And that's unusual. Trey's been out on the court even when he was hurt, so he's probably in getting treatment. And they're just trying to get it to cool down. I mean, I caution everybody, like calf injuries are literally the worst.
Terrifying.
Yeah, they're terrifying for NBA players because it's just
they give Kenny nightmares.
Yeah, it's holding up the Achilles, and if you expose that Achilles, that's the last thing you want.
You just said there a moment ago, probably it's certainly not his injury, but maybe good that Trey is out right now because it's giving Mike an easy out to get some of these other guys minutes and allow them to play. But then what? Because Trey's not a question mark in the rotation, so. What do you think happens next?
Well, it's going to be a true competition. I think there are going to be certain nights where you don't need a JaVale McGee. Like, no disrespect on JaVale, but you're going to have some times where JaVale is just like a added bonus, right? That you may or may not need. If you're going up against a team that doesn't have size off the bench, even a team like tonight, like you're going like in a perfect world, I don't think I want JaVale McGee on Dario Saric. I would much prefer Trey Lyles on Dario Saric. I don't want Sasha Vezenkov defending Dario Saric either. But like, this is a smart player that can shoot a 3-ball. He can get to the basket. Like he's crafty, and we saw it in the preseason game where like he blew right by JaVale McGee. I'm not sure that is like a great matchup. So I think when they have all the pieces in place, there are going to be certain nights where guys don't play. There are going to be certain nights where Sasha Vezenkov doesn't see the floor. There's going to be nights where Trey Lyles doesn't see the floor, or JaVale McGee doesn't see the floor. And that's what, Mike's all in. Mike Brown has his all in mentality. And he says, you can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You can't be straddling the line, because then it's really easy just to take that step back with the 1 foot. He's like, I need everybody with both feet in, and then we'll go from there.
That's what made him special last year. That's what made that team special last year, is that everybody was all in. the thing that mattered more than anything else was winning. It was just about winning. It wasn't wasn't your contract. It wasn't your playing time. It was about doing something special, being a winning team, and turning around the culture. And if he can tap into that again this year and have these guys understanding the Sashas, even the Trey Lyles, the JaVales, that this is one of the ways we're going to stay better than everybody. You know what I mean? Or, up on the top. Like if we start worrying about our personal stuff and I should be getting this amount of playing time and all this other stuff, for lack of a better term, I think the Kings are really talented, but we're not that. Like we can't. The Warriors had a bunch of turmoil and won 44 games last year. I don't think the Kings could have that same type of turmoil and win 44. Like they need everybody all in. This is why we're good. And if those guys understand it the same way the team last year understands it, once again, there's no reason why they can't replicate what they did, because that's a strength that other teams may not have. Like other teams may have 3 or 4 guys worried about their minutes and their contract. These guys are like, I haven't played in a week and a half. Oh, you want me to go in? Bet. I'm gonna do whatever you ask, coach. Let's go. And I think that's what makes them special.
No, I think you're right. And I think it kind of goes back to the injury thing, right? I keep harping on everyone expects the Kings to get injured this year. And it's like, okay, well, do they have any injury prone players? Like, because I'm already watching Brad Bill and Devin Booker miss games. Like I'm watching all kinds of players miss games.
Book out at least until Tuesday. Brad doesn't appear to have a timeline yet.
Yeah.
So they're missing games.
Yeah. So when you bring in players who are perpetually injured, you can't be surprised when you miss a bunch of games due to injury. Mm. Well, it's kind of the same thing when it goes to chemistry guys, like with the personality of your basketball team. If you got a bunch of me guys, you're going to have me issues all throughout the season. If you got a bunch of guys who are buy-in guys, who are glue guys, who are chemistry guys, who are culture guys, then you should have a pretty decent season. And the key, I think a lot of it, you can have 1 or 2 of those guys that are a little off, right? That cause a little bit of trouble here and there. You can't have 3 or 4 of them because they tend to gang up. Those guys tend to gravitate towards each other, which is something we've seen in Sacramento a million times. Like you got one guy who kind of questions the system, and then next thing you know, you got 3 guys who question the system, and then you got 5 guys who question the system, and like not all those guys are going to be like me guys, but they might be like really close to somebody on the team, and then they get lumped in, and next thing you know, you got a full blown like catastrophe on your hands. And
like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so I mean, you especially when you lose, like that's the other problem when you start losing, and then you got guys who normally would be quiet, and they're like, man, I think I could help this team, but I'm not getting any playing time, so I'm not part of the problem. I'm not on the court out there. I'm not the one out there who's doing it. So why am I getting blamed for everything? You start having this like perpetual cycle. I don't think the Kings have that guy on the roster. I mean, Kessler Edwards is a super nice young kid. Super nice kid. Alex Len sat there all season long being a great teammate. Not only that, but he was the one leading a lot of the post game, like everybody in the cold tubs, everybody like the maintenance aspect of the game. A lot of it was on Alex Len last season. But like, is Colby Jones going to cause problems at the end of the bench? Is Sasha Vezenkov going to cause problems? Now we could start seeing like people in Greece, or according to so-and-so in Greek newspaper, Sasha Vezenkov isn't real happy with his role. Okay.
Greek Wojnarowski over there stirring it up.
Yeah. Well, that's Christos Saltis. So we'll blame it all on Christos.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Hello, coach. Hey, Christos, we're going to need you to stop, stop trying to get like, but that's like, unless we start seeing that stuff, and the players won't care about that at all.
Yeah.
They'll be like, hey man, like you come here, you got to play our game and let's go. Like Chris Duarte. I mean, you guys saw the interview with him yesterday, I assume. He's nothing but smiles. He's a good kid. He's trying to fit in and a lot of different ways. They're, language barrier stuff he's trying to fit in. They're learning the system, like all these things he's trying to fit in. At the end of the day, like I think he can really help this team. And I also think he's not going to be a distraction. And if you have a distraction on this team, like maybe you already could see who it might be. Okay, you won't be here very long.
We'll come back. We'll talk more about the home opener, the Kings versus the Warriors tonight at the Golden One Center with James Ham, with Dylan Casey return here on Sacramento Sports Leader ESPN 1320. Guys, I hate to do this. We need about 3 minutes. We have to, well, give us a minute. We need to fix something on KSFM. So just hang out for a second. And I don't know if you'll be able to hear us. So you're not going to be able to hear us. So hang on just a second. Sorry about that, y'all. We had a little issue over here.
And we're back.
And the hell with all them people who left while we were working. Jerks. Told y'all we had to do something right quick. I don't know what happened, but it's about to be silent over at KSFM if we hadn't fixed that.
That would not be good.
Yeah, 3. Well, no, it actually wouldn't have been completely silent, but just would have skipped past it. But you don't like that.
You imagine like 30 or 20 minutes of silence?
Well, it happens.
Yes.
So that Vince McMahon meme was going crazy last night, man. That was so
Him
funny.
crying.
Is that from the upcoming doc or something like that?
No,
I had never
think
seen that
was.
before.
I think that was Andre.
I didn't even see it. What happened?
Oh, it's going crazy on Twitter. Like he basically gets choked up and tells him to cut the.
Oh, okay. I've seen that. Yeah.
I think it was from the Andre doc.
Yeah,
but I
that's
can't
where it's
remember.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I hadn't seen it before.
My favorite one is he was special.
Oh. And we in here, baby. Appreciate you so much for being with us. Stressful commercial break.
Good,
That's
though.
what we do
We
when
good,
you're
baby.
That's what happens when you're on 2 radio stations.
Good, baby.
Some people can't even handle 1 radio show.
We built for this.
We got 2. They over there staring at the camera like, I don't know what to do. We got 2 radio shows jumping off right here. Come on, James. Hey, James, I'm going to tell you this right now. We're going to teach you to talk that talk. I'm going to teach you to talk trash.
Gotta talk crazy out here.
You gotta
sometime,
talk.
James.
You going
Gotta talk
we're gonna-
crazy.
We've loosened you up quite a bit over the last 2 years, pause, but we're going to get you to we're going to get you to cut up a little bit.
All right.
Loosened you.
Just give me numbers. Like I'll wear a t-shirt with just straight up numbers. Like scores.
Oh, well, damn.
James would be live scoreboard.
James a live
James
scoreboard.
went for the gusto. He wasn't playing.
James, that was a low blow, James. Jeez.
It's too far.
Too far, James. Too far. You're taking it too far.
That's strong. I'm cutting Phyllis's head off with a chainsaw vibe right there. Oh man. It is the Kings versus the Warriors tonight at the Golden One Center. I know what they'll tell you. You've been around them. You think tonight's game has a little more extra sauce on it than if it was circumstances the same, home opener, ESPN in the house, but it's Chet Holmgren and the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oh no, they want to kick somebody in the teeth tonight.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, they want to kick the Warriors in the teeth tonight.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is one of those games where like you keep having Big Brother like put his thumb on top of your head and push you down. Like I mean, you're out at the lake and he keeps dunking you underwater, and you're like, bro, you need to like they need a moment where they just grab him and body slam him. And
Yeah,
say, hey,
and the funny
game
like
over.
that's how I feel too. But the funny thing was the series was 3-3. It's not like it was 4-0.
Right.
And James, I swear to you, the preseason game bothers me. The Steph Curry game bothers me. It's like that's what between, because that game felt real, and you have game 7, and so you have these last 2 real Kings Warriors moments that feel like Steph's just like, y'all ain't gonna beat me. I'm Steph Curry.
I think even that was a good thing. It was because you get into that game and you're like, okay, like go ahead and beat us because this one doesn't matter, and that's fine. You can show us that you're still Steph, but like throughout that game, so many other things were exposed. Where like if that's the best shot you got for us, if that's still the only way you beat us is by Steph going crazy, okay, like we got your number.
Problem is Steph is very capable of going crazy at any moment.
Yeah,
That's
but
the frustrating thing.
Remember, they aren't showing like Utah had no idea what hit them on Wednesday night.
True.
Like you
I agree.
saw them the week before. You're like, okay, well, this team is fun. It's cool. And then you get in there, you're like, oh, they're not messing around.
What was it, James? Like, what was it that Utah was like, whoa, I didn't expect. Was it something new, or was it just a heightened level of physicality or aggressiveness? Like, what was it that had them kind of?
Oh my God, whose music is that? Oh
my God!
Oh my God!
My God, that's
Oh
Monte!
my God!
My God, that's Monte!
Look who's here!
Uh-oh.
Look who's here!
Oh, I got Jason Ham. Oh, I got some ham. Oh, this feels good.
Just
What
to be
up?
clear, is this radio Bonte or is this television Bonte?
You see the $700 button-up shirt. You know
Hey,
what it is.
Listen,
You know what it
listen,
is.
man. Forrest Gump said, "Hey, man, life is like a box of chocolates, right? You never know what you're gonna get. You never know what you're getting today. The only thing you know is that I'm in a hostage. It feels like I'm a hostage somewhere, man.
Yeah,
I probably
hey.
shouldn't joke about that during
Yeah.
these days, but you know, I'm in the cut, man, in NBC Sports Bay Area, man. I had to get a room just for you guys, you guys.
Well, give us a sign if you're not okay, and we'll send help. Our man,
Oh.
I didn't think you'd show up.
The streets. I told him the streets didn't think he was gonna pull up.
I've been talking
The streets
crazy.
didn't think
about
I was
you.
gonna pull up.
They didn't think he was gonna pull up.
They said Bonte don't want this. Not today.
Oh,
You
man.
don't want
Not
this.
the chatty house. Not the
Oh.
chatty house. I'm disappointed in the chatty house. You know, I always show up for my guys, even though I told KC earlier today, I don't get no callbacks from KC no more. D-Lo,
Well,
I
well.
used to
and you
get
know
calls
that's
all the
cap.
time from you guys, man.
No, hold on, you know that's
Radio
cap,
gig,
Bonte.
hip.
Bonte,
ahead.
I called you right back. I think you know I called him right back.
I didn't get it. Maybe I didn't get it. I don't know, man. I said, boy, my boy KC don't return my phone calls. D-Lo, D-Lo's everywhere. He's front row of Beyonce concerts in Las Vegas. And Jason Ham got a new show. I don't even get texts from Action no more.
Hey,
y'all
hey,
do
Bonte.
money up there in Sacramento, man.
Hey, Monte, Damien not gonna be at the game tonight.
Why?
Where you gonna be?
I'm gonna be at Janet Jackson.
Well,
Oh, shit.
see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
I'm going to
The
see
Warriors
y'all,
don't
man.
even mean nothing in Sacramento no more. Y'all already finals contenders. Game 2 gets to go to St. Warriors on a Friday
I
night.
can't
Yeah,
keep
I'm
up.
gonna go see
can't keep up.
Escapade or something, man. Janet Jackson, man. What is it? 1804? Whatever was the album? I don't even remember the album name.
Rhythm Nation,
Hey,
baby.
Keep
Lo.
up, man. I can't keep up.
Hey, our brother Bonte Hill from 95.7 The Game, NBC Sports Bay Area, man. We're happy that you're here. We get to kick off another year. Are you or are you not in on Sacramento and Golden State being a rivalry now?
I'm in on it. You had all the theatrics last year, right? You had the Game 7. You had Draymond and Sabonis. You know, you had the Harrison Barnes angle to it. You had the regions. I think the 916 and the 4 in the Bay Area. We all bought into it. I mean, think about what your show did combined with our show. What we did to this rivalry. I feel like we're the forefathers of this rivalry here, man. We intensified it. It was all friendly at first, and then by game 5, we couldn't stand each other. And then by game 7, we're saying, hey, you know what? You brought the best out of each other. So you got all the makings for the rivalry. You know what I'm saying? You got the point guard, De'Aaron Fox, who wants to take Steph Curry's throne. You know what I'm saying? He's now with Under Armour under the Curry brand, and he wants to take over the Curry brand. So you have all the makings for it. If you get one more playoff series between the two, then there's no doubt about it. We've got our modern day, hey, may I say Kings Lakers? I mean, you may have something here.
I hated y'all sorry asses so bad by game 5. I swear to God.
I know
was
you
so sick of
did.
y'all.
You know what I'm feeling right now? I'm feeling like these were two ships passing in the night, and now Warrior fan is trying to hook the boat that's already passed them.
Sinking.
And they're like, oh no,
Oh.
now it's a rivalry. It's like, wait,
Oh,
now it's a rivalry. What? It wasn't like, but now it is. Now you're,
Patagonia,
So-
Jason Ham. Now, don't fall for the song, Jason. I like it, man.
Come on, Bonte.
Stick to
It's
your roots,
James.
J-Ham.
Come on,
Stick
bro.
to your roots, J-Ham. Don't fall for KC and D-Lo shenanigans here. Ham, I like it, man. You're really credible, man. You are Mr. King on the beat. Don't do this, Mr. Ham. Don't do it.
I'm
Leave
just-
that to D-Lo and KC.
He talking to we teaching him. We teaching them over here.
Can we get a Jason Ham shirt made though?
I know
Say
now they're
Jason
gonna make
Ham?
sure.
James Ham. Yeah, my bad, Jason. You might as well be
Jesus.
Jason with the way you acting now.
That's his alter ego. That's
Yeah.
the bad guy
We
version.
teaching them. We
Jason
mold
Ham.
them over
My
here.
bad, James. My
But-
bad, big
but
game,
look,
James.
Vontae, I know you've had a good time with us thinking it was going to be Christmas Day and all this other stuff. I understand that you can get the kikis off there, but the NBA has said otherwise. Every time these two teams play, the NBA is
Yeah.
like, "Yo, no, we need this on TV. Like this is
Yeah.
what we try. Oh, we got a commercial for Google. No, let's put these two. Like the NBA, whether it's there or not yet, that's a whole nother discussion. It's clear the NBA wants it to be.
Yeah, no, and you guys kind of remind me of the up and coming Warriors, where you got some lovable dudes on that team. Keegan Murray, and it also obviously it starts with De'Aaron Fox, who I love Fox, man. I remember talking with Shasky when you guys extended him to that long-term deal. I thought this is the right move. De'Aaron Fox is a winner. I go back to, again, we talked about this on your show when he was crying after that North Carolina loss in the Elite Eight, knowing that he was going pro to still Wasabi because I said, yeah, this is my type of guy. This guy cares. So you have De'Aaron Fox, you have Keegan Murray, you got some lovable dudes. Domantas Sabonis is an all-star now, and you have a rabid fan base that is hungry for success. And what we saw last year in Sacramento, the way you guys shut down the town during that first round series, no, the NBA is all over it. And why not? You see Malik Monk dunking all over a homeboy from Utah the other night, and Draper's losing his mind, and on the broadcast or NBC California. So anyway, like I think the NBA wants this to be a rivalry, and it should be. And so these games should be must-see TV on national television after what transpired during that 7-game series. You got a 50-burger. You got Draymond Green going full NWO to go to one center. You got Sabonis saying, "Oh, he broke a rib. He stepped on my chest, man." And you had to
He
get
all
didn't
shit with
say
that.
that.
All
Will
Warriors
you
highlights.
stop
This is
it?
crazy.
He did
Man,
not
I
say
gotta-
that.
What happened to 40 on
And you got y'all talking about no, it's the NBA is telling us that this could be the next thing in the NBA. And it's the West Coast, man. We've been thirsty for something like this. I just can't believe last year was the first time both these teams were in the postseason at the same time since the Kings moved from Kansas City. That was wild to me, man. Lot of ineptitude around these parts with the Kings and the Warriors.
Let's talk about your Warriors for a minute and go back to the first game of the season. Really, that game was a story of two halves, two completely different Golden State Warrior teams in half one. Charles had them buried like permanently after the first half, and a completely different team in the third quarter. Steph tried to, do what Steph does there in that fourth quarter, but you guys fall just short. In all seriousness, Bonte, which one of those two teams is closer to the real version of the Golden State Warriors right now?
I think it's going to take us about a month to figure out who this team is. And, the whole road woes from last year when they lost their first 8 road games, they're going to play 7 of their first 8 games of the season on the road, including this 3-game road trip here. I don't know. So I look at passing numbers, right? During the championship years and when the Warriors are humming, they want to get to 320 passes a game, right? Moving the ball around, make sure it's not sticking. They were down to about 280, 285 in that first game, which tells me, okay, they're playing a little slower. Maybe they're trying to play slower because Chris Paul needs to keep up here. But also the contested shots. This tells you a lot about your team, I believe. And it's only a 1-game sample size. But last year, they averaged around 40 shots getting contested per game, which means defenders within 3 to 5 feet contesting their shots. Tuesday night against the Suns, that number was up to 52. So that tells me, one, they're not creating open looks for each other. They're not able to blow by guys like they used to in the past. And it tells me they're getting a little older. So that's going to be a stat that I look at all season long, especially with Chris Paul now in the equation. How much are they passing the ball around? How much are they getting the Warriors basketball? Because Tuesday night was not Warriors basketball. It was a lot more pick and roll, a lot more isolation, a lot more standing around here. So until they get Draymond Green back, till we see Wiggins get his legs or Klay Thompson, I'm not sure we're going to see the real Warriors for about a month. And we're going to have a good indicator of who they are for the remainder of the season once this first month goes through. But like a game like tonight, are they going to be able to pass the ball around? Is Sacramento going to pressure them full court and turn them into an isolation team that we saw at times in the first round? I'm very eager to see which Warriors team show up. So to answer your question, D-Lo, I don't know which team. The first half or second half, I don't know which Warriors we're going to get. And I don't think we're going to find out the answer for about a month.
It's interesting. You really focused in on the offense there. But for me, I look at this game if you're starting Chris Paul and Steph Curry in the backcourt, and you got Clay and you got Wiggins and you got Kevon Looney playing in the middle, like how are they going to match up? Because every game we've seen lately, they take Wiggins and throw him on Fox.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's going to defend the 2 6'8" forwards? Who's going to defend the 6'7" shooting guard? Like all of a sudden, you start looking at matchups. Like Chris Paul is going to have to defend somebody, and I don't know how. Especially like I would be surprised if we don't start seeing like a lot more Kuminga in a series like this when you just don't have the size matchup. And you can talk about Dario Saric might be a nightmare for JaVale McGee, but we're talking about 35-minute per game players that the Kings have that you don't really have an answer for there.
Is this Jason or James? Which one is this? Jason or James? No, I'm kidding.
That was definitely James.
that was James. That was the journalist in him, man. That's a heck of a question. No, you're right. I thought they were way too small to start the game, and the pick and roll and the dribble drive penetration destroyed them all game against Phoenix. So when you do have Chris Paul and Steph Curry out there, look, teams are already targeted Steph Curry. Now you get two options. Which one? This is a gift here, Chris Paul or Steph Curry, and they don't have the rim protection too. So when De'Aaron Fox gets downhill and he gets that pick and roll cooking against his defense, that is a problem. Now, Keegan Murray, who's going to guard him? You hope that Klay Thompson can guard Keegan Murray, but the version I saw of Keegan Murray in the preseason and all season scares me when it comes to Klay Thompson defending him. Wiggins did not guard well in that first game against Booker, and Kuminga is still young. Kuminga committed 3 fouls in the first quarter alone. So he's still as gifted as he is with the raw potential. He still falls for the Yoki dope. So I don't know how they're going to defend here. That's the $1 million question around these parts. Looney will hold his own against Sabonis. Sabonis is going to get his numbers, but I feel good with Looney there. Sarge, I think the way to defend him, if I'm the Sacramento Kings, throw somebody smaller on him. If it's a Trey Lyles or if it's somebody who's at that 6'8", 6'9" range, because if you throw a Sabonis on Sarge, he's going to get his. A 5 like a Nurkic or Sabonis, Sarge is going to eat. But if you throw a smaller dude on him and you make him put the ball on the floor, that's where Sarge struggles. Kuminga, you still force him to shoot the 3-point shot. Wiggins, you still force him to shoot the 3-point shot, and you force Klay Thompson to put the ball on the floor. But on the flip side, like as you mentioned defensively, I don't know how they're going to do this tonight. I'm very intrigued with that. Outside of Wiggins in that starting lineup, now, do they put Kuminga in the starting lineup again? He committed 3 fouls in the first quarter the other night. I'm not sure I want to do that. Maybe it's a Moses Moody day to start there to get some size and to get some more activity and some more athleticism. But that's going to be the question all year, especially once Chris Paul and Steph Curry are on the floor at the same time. That's a problem defensively for the Warriors. There's no hiding around that. There's no getting around that. You can't hide both those guys on the floor at the same time. So could be a rough night for the Warriors defensively against the Kings today.
My main man, Bonte Hill, 95.7 The Game, The Morning Roast, NBC Sports Bay Area. When you see him on there, boy, you seen the Gucci loafers.
I was going to ask what
you be seeing all that, man.
What non-domestic shoe he's wearing today.
Oh, I got some basic Stacey Adams, man. It's game 2. We got to pace ourselves. You know what I'm saying? The Gucci's don't come out till the playoffs. The Dior's don't come out till Christmas. You know what I'm saying? The Louis V belt doesn't come out. I do got the Hermes belt on. I'm not going to lie about that.
Come on now.
Crazy.
Come on now.
That's the finest thing from James Ham. Hey, James Ham / Jason Ham. You know what I'm saying? Get with it, man. The streets need you, man. Get that Louis on, James.
I ain't buying no Louis. It ain't happening.
But you brought it up a little bit, but I want to dive into it a little bit more. I was surprised that Kerr went with Kuminga at the end of that game over Wiggins.
Yeah.
I know Wiggins didn't have the best game, but I think that's your best defender. And, Book was going off, and it's not like Kuminga played bad when he was in there. He held his own. But I just thought in that particular situation, he would have went with Wiggins. Is that something that is going to be something to look out for the rest of the season? Like Wiggins not penciled in to being in there? Like what's going on with that?
I think that's the biggest deal. Everybody was so fixated on whether or not Chris Paul is going to start this season. And every time I say, well, I don't care who starts. I don't think Kurt cares who starts. Nobody, when we talk about the game, how much do we reference the first 5 minutes unless somebody goes crazy, right? But more so it's about the closing lineup. My concern this whole time since they acquired Chris Paul was who's in the final 5. And in game number 1, which we're tracking, it was not Andrew Wiggins. And Andrew Wiggins had 1 rebound. And from what I'm hearing, Andrew Wiggins has struggled in preseason, trying to hit the glass, trying to fit back into this team. And that's the X factor to me all season long. He's the most important Warrior. If he's not right, we don't have a chance at sniffing the NBA Finals, the Western Conference Finals, or the semifinals for that matter. He has to be right. He has to be that guy that helped them win that 4th championship a couple years ago. He has to be the guy who was averaging, who's shooting 51% from the floor, defending at a high level, going back to the All-Star game before he suffered the right adductor strain. So that's something I'm tracking. If they're not winning and Wiggins is not in that closing lineup, how does he handle it? If they're not winning and Klay Thompson's not in that closing lineup, how does he handle it in a contract year? We already heard from Draymond Green in a win in the NBA Finals, in which he got benched in Game 4 in the 4th quarter. He already said, "Yeah, I wasn't happy about it, and if you would have lost, you would not have heard the end of it." So how does he deal with not closing? And then you got the Chris Paul factor. So we're not only tracking Andrew Wiggins, we're tracking everybody outside of Steph Curry. How do they handle not being in the Final 5 lineup? And Steve Kerr mentioned it the other day. He's going by feel, which he should do. How's the game flowing? Who's having a good game? Andrew Wiggins didn't deserve to close that game the other night. 1 rebound, 4 smoked bunnies, 4 missed layups there, and Kuminga did earn that right to close. So it's something we're all tracking, KC, all year long. And it's not just going to be Andrew Wiggins. There's going to be some Klay, some Draymond, and everything. So you may have a little brouhaha on your hands if you're Steve Kerr here this year, especially if you don't win early.
It's funny, Bonte, because you just mentioned a bunch of things, and none of them got to do with basketball. Talking about worrying about how people are going to react. And that's why people, I think, feel a certain way about the Warriors. It's like, man, what is this team going to wind up being when all is said and done? We know you got a lot of work to do tonight, man. I'll show you, just it's not all fun and games. We've been showing love to Steph Curry all week. What he's done with Under Armour in the last 10 years or so, how he's basically built that shoe brand by himself. And now to take the step of bringing on the first Curry athlete, and that being, De'Aaron Fox, the guy he battled with for 7 games in the playoffs last year. It's dope for Under Armour. It's dope for Steph. Obviously, we're thrilled for De'Aaron. That's amazing. But your boy, your boy is in rarefied air out there, number 30.
He could do no wrong, right? I mean, he's up there with Montana, Jerry Rice, the greats of the greats in the Bay Area, man. I mean, he really is that dude. And I think De'Aaron Fox is the perfect player. I mean, to market this, when I think about Steph Curry, how he's embraced the community here in the Bay Area, I think about De'Aaron Fox, how he's embraced Sacramento. He's taken the 916 on his back, and he's made it a mission to elevate this franchise and lift them to heights that you guys haven't seen in decades. I think it's a perfect guy. I'm surprised Nike wasn't on him. I'm surprised Puma, Adidas. I mean, this is a coup for Steph Curry to bring in De'Aaron Fox. And again, De'Aaron Fox is a perfect. This is the guy. Everybody wants to market Ja Morant, and I get the NBA wanting to market Ja Morant. You see all these kids, but the NBA really needs to look at De'Aaron Fox. He's the guy I want my kids to grow up to be like. He's the guy, you see the family man, you see the way he embraces that community, the way he embraces that team, the way he's lifted that team up. Screw that. The NBA needs to get behind De'Aaron Fox, and I'm glad Steph Curry did. That's a real honor. I think that's a real cool thing to do for Steph Curry. And again, De'Aaron Fox is the perfect guy. And Adam Silver needs to get on board. The NBA needs to get on board and elevate this guy and not Ja Morant. Ja Morant had his chance. He's blown it. Now I'm still pulling for the brother out there in Memphis, but they need to get behind De'Aaron Fox. This is the guy you want to build the game around and promote the game around. De'Aaron Fox is that dude. So I'm happy that Steph Curry recognized that. And I think it's a cool story for all King fans, especially guys who love De'Aaron Fox up there.
Man, what a babyface turn to close this out, man.
What
a babyface turn.
I'm going to tell you straight up. Hey, Bonte, you're my guy. I appreciate that. Those are some very nice words. The beam is being lit tonight. Let's not lose sight of that.
Hey,
the beam is being lit tonight.
Let me. Hey, James and D-Lo, Casey came on our show earlier. D-Lo, we gonna get you on Wednesday. I got to get D-Lo back on, and James/Jason, we'll get you on too. Listen, Casey Shasky, who was Sausalito Shasky during the entire playoff run. Oh, I don't know the beam, and I don't think he can win 4 or 5. He was about it today. Dude, he was hood Shasky. And I said, whoa. I sat back. I didn't know he was going to play sound. I didn't know he was going to revisit game 4. I said, whoa, where's this guy at in April? Where was he at? So I'm not going to throw no darts. I get it's an NBA Finals game for you guys. I get that, you guys are a little unhappy about the Christmas Day schedule. So, you know what? I get what's happening up there at the Golden One Center. They're going to be lighting extra beams. So there's going to be a beam on one side of the arena, the other side. They're going to be light beams at Vacaville, Davis, the El Dorado Hills. I get it. It's a big game for you guys. We're just trying to get right in our rotations.
Tonight, bro. Beam is being lit tonight.
Bonte, we love you, brother, man. Thanks for carving out a few minutes for us.
Man.
Nah, I love you guys too, man. James, welcome edition. I'm glad that they brought you and Matson on the ESPN 1320. You guys are a powerhouse up there, man. I truly mean that, man. From 10 to 4. And I know Casey D'Lo, y'all don't get no rest anyway. Y'all doing hip hop now.
No.
Y'all do money,
No,
man.
We got to
Y'all
play
do money.
Sexy Red in just a little bit.
Hey,
man.
hey, man. Hey, y'all hit me up to come on the show. I'm like, Texas, oh my God, I can't believe they hit me up, man.
Stop
Jeez.
it.
Oh,
Hey, have a
boys.
good.
Y'all
have
enjoy
a
the
good
game,
tonight,
man.
brother. Yes,
Take care,
sir.
big
Nah,
dog.
you guys
Appreciate
too, man. Enjoy Janet Jackson, man. That's big. See you guys
Thank
later.
you, brother. Thank you, brother. That's our man Bonte Hill right there, carving out some time in the bowels of the NBC
Man.
Sports facility.
They had my man tucked.
By the way, we only acknowledge one play-by-play guy here.
Like who? So who?
Ooh, I don't know who Bonte talking about.
I was listening to Utah.
Oh no. Oh
Bro,
no.
that Utah broadcast was tough.
You guys out here picking fights with everybody, man.
Yeah, that's what we do.
You
I
out here
told
picking
you.
fights with everybody.
I told you. You're going to learn to talk that talk. You spend too much time with us, James. You're going to learn to talk that talk.
You know, I have beefs all over the league. You know, I'm that guy.
Yeah, well, you got beef with Jacques Vaughn. That's different.
Poor
You got
Jacques
beef
Vaughn.
with Jacques
Poor
Vaughn.
Jacques Vaughn.
I'm not going to take that from Jacques Vaughn.
James also knows
Oh,
Drake.
man.
Drake said hi to James.
Yeah, that's true.
This is a true story.
Hi, Drake.
Yeah.
Drake ain't never said hi to me. Well, at least you don't have any beef with Drake.
No,
Wind up in a record
that's true.
that we'd have to decipher.
That's my goal.
Who the hell is he talking about?
Why did he just say ham right in the middle of his
A
song?
dude in a quarter zip. Who the hell is Drake
That's right.
talking about?
That's right. Talk about
Oh.
like the chatty house. They'll talk about my Patagonia.
I knew Bonte was going to say this was a finals game. I knew Bonte was going to call this a finals game.
Well, you know, I mean, look, all I know is the beam's going up tonight. Simple as that.
The new and improved beam.
No, he might. Bonte might see the beam.
Bonte,
tonight.
yeah, that's
He
fact.
might see.
That
Pause.
Joker's
He might see
crazy.
the.
Come on, man.
I'm just
What's wrong
I had
with
to
you?
clarify that, man. I had to clarify it. But I was just saying they could see that the King's light goes. You can see it in San Francisco, probably.
That's it.
Show him the beam.
Man.
I ain't showing it.
What?
I'm feeling like Kenny may have listened to the first 5 minutes of the Kings Beat podcast the other day because we got a little crazy
Well,
on the beam.
yeah, wow.
Sean Cunningham
Got
got
a
a
little
little
crazy.
Yeah,
wild.
wow.
Sean
Y'all
Cunningham
some
got
wild
a little
boys.
wild on the beam.
Y'all some
Oh.
wild boys, man.
This is terrible. Can't even talk no more.
Oh, amazing.
Man. Whew. ESPN cameras in the house, man. It's going to be a fun night at Doco. It's going to be a great game.
The whole
And
weekend.
I
The whole
think-
weekend, I think it's going to be a great atmosphere.
Oh, yeah, with the Lakers on Sunday.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And I think we're getting second half Warriors tonight.
I think they're going to be ready to play.
I mean, all kidding aside, they're ready to play this game tonight. Like, I
Hey.
think this game matters tonight.
You see, I ain't saying nothing about Clay. I'm not saying nothing about Clay. Kyle Madsen can say something. I ain't saying nothing about Clay.
Yeah, I don't
Clay
agree.
will
with
go
Kyle.
off in
I
a
don't-
heartbeat. I ain't saying nothing about
I don't
Clay.
agree.
I'm
I
doing
don't agree.
I'm
with
doing
Kyle's
like
take at all about
game
Clay.
6 last year. I ain't saying nothing about Clay till the game's over.
Yeah, then I'm gonna talk all that talk.
Yeah, but they play on Wednesday, so don't talk too loud.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, that's
No,
a good point.
You gotta wait.
Oh yeah, because for whatever reason, the NBA really likes the Kings Warriors series. They just want to get all the games over with as quickly as
Jesus.
possible.
I know. I think this is the 11th time in 16 that they've played each other
That's
between
wow.
the playoffs, preseason, and
What? They
And-
played one of the last regular season games.
second to
too.
the last, including that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think the
Incredible.
Warriors are going to be ready to play tonight too, man. I think it's going to be a good game. There's going to be a lot of energy in the building.
Yeah,
I think
oh,
that's
yeah.
going to the Warriors are
both
going to
sides.
feed off of that.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been in the biggest games ever, so that, it's not nothing new to them. But in a situation where you're not really thinking about like, oh, regular season, the energy in that building might energize them and have them charged up for this game.
what I'm really hoping is that the Kings understand taking care of home court advantage. It was such a
See, that's-
glaring issue last year.
That's a good thing that we haven't talked enough about today.
Mm-hmm.
Is
23 and 18,
and they were better on the road.
25 and 16. That's not okay.
Mm-mm.
And it's something that
Not for a crowd like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
not
mean,
for a crowd
remember
like
Alvin
this.
Gentry yelling about it the year before. Like,
Well.
have some pride in front of your home crowd.
Oh,
So this is one of those things where, like, look, you got to come up and show. You got to go out there and show up. Like,
Yeah,
fully.
you're spot on though, James. I was thinking about that like all week. Like I think they will make this a true home court. Like people are going to think, oh man, we got to go into Sacramento, and I think their record and the way they play
Yeah.
is going to. They're going to do that this year with the Golden One Center.
That's going to be the difference between them being a 48 win team and them being a 55 win team.
For sure.
If you can take care of home court, because winning 25 on the road is really difficult. I don't know if they can do that again. So you need at least that extra 7 wins to get you up to 30 at home.
I can't remember exactly. It was the best in the West. What, third in the league?
Yeah.
A road record?
Like a game behind.
Like Milwaukee and Boston,
Milwaukee
and like the
Boston,
big dogs up there. Yeah. And I think,
only like 5 teams won 20 games.
New York and Brooklyn had really big road records that kind of trickled down a little bit at the end of the year, both of them. But yeah, that home court is something they just didn't have last year.
Yeah,
there was no home court advantage.
Yeah,
take advantage of that. And there was I think De'Aaron pointed it out. This probably during camp. I know the conversation of home court was talked about, but I think it was De'Aaron that said, we had a better defensive rating on the road than we did at home. And I think we just relied on the crowd and shooting and all of that stuff to carry us at home. Be consistent.
Yeah.
Be consistent with how you play at home. Be consistent with how you play on the road. No fan is going to turn their nose up at 140 being scored at the house, but set a consistent defensive effort. I thought they were good when I don't know that how did you think they were? I thought they were good defensively on a Wednesday.
Oh, I did too. I mean, you dropped 130. You played with pace. So, like the fact that the other team scored 114, it's because you played with pace. Because that was a high scoring game.
A lot of possessions.
Because you ran them over. I mean, the key is always going to be its net rating. Like, what's the difference between your offensive rating and your defensive rating? I think their defensive rating after game 1, they were like number 13 in the NBA. They might be a little different. They're number 14, 108.6. Their offensive rating last year was like 122 points something. In game 1, it was 123.8. Like what we saw from them offensively was stellar. And the fact that they can get better and they will get better is, like they're going to have nights where Kevin Huerter's hitting his shots, where, some of the other guys, Davion Mitchell, who didn't hit a shot, where those guys are hitting too. And I was like super impressed with what we saw from that group. And like, I just think that like the sky's the limit. The fact that Sabonis only had 5 assists, he should easily had 8 assists, 9 assists. They missed some easy shots. The fact that they went 19 of 51 from 3. I mean, that sounds like, oh, you hit 19. You also missed 32.
Yeah, like Fox was like 1 of 7. Huerter was 2 of 9. Or no, maybe Monk was 2 of 9. Huerter was like 1 of 6 or something. Like,
yeah,
your guards left some shots out there to be made.
Yeah, and you're not going to have Harrison Barnes go crazy every single night, but like this team has all kinds of weapons, and the most dangerous teams in the league are the teams that have 4, 5, 6 guys that each of them can go for 30 at any moment. That's a tough team to defend.
Anyone in particular you're watching? We were talking about Davion earlier. He didn't have the most impactful Wednesday against Utah. Certainly not on the offensive end. Obviously, it feels like everyone's watching Kevin Huerter. What do we see from Sasha? Anyone in particular outside, the obvious that you got your eyes on?
I got to be honest. I'm watching Kevin Huerter because I watched him at practice yesterday. After practice, he was on the near court right by us. He took Trey Lyle's spot and shot with De'Aaron Fox, but visibly frustrated. Like you're worried it's getting in his head, and visibly frustrated.
So
with himself.
We talked about this a little bit ago. What do you he's I'm assuming he's frustrated his shots aren't dropping.
Yes.
But Mike brought the conversation up because of defense.
Well, he's pressing overall. Like, and again, there's nothing that says that Kevin Huerter will be the starting shooting guard tonight. There's not. Like, I don't know that that's going to be the case. It might be, but Mike hasn't said like, yeah, this is a long-term thing that we're sticking with this. Like, we don't know, but Kevin Huerter has always made his name on the offensive end, and they're asking him to do some things on the defensive end that are, make you uncomfortable. If he starts hitting a couple of threes, he's going to be a much better defensive player. His offense has always driven his game. That will help him get the confidence he needs. But it's funny because you're going to see him get really, really picked on because of the defensive side, when it's the offensive side that will help him wake up out of this. And I feel for him. Like, he doesn't want to miss shots. Like, he's a guy who's worked hard. He wants to be there. He's a guy who shot almost 41% from three last year. He's him and Keegan, your best 3-point shooters. And it's got under his skin a little bit. And I know, like, there are no pep talks that you can do with these guys, but like, I honestly feel like he's really close. He starts seeing the ball fall consistently, and you could have like one of those moments where, Red Velvet shows up and it makes everything better, and he starts to look more confident, more like the player that he has been.
I kind of think the Kings need to look to find a way to kind of get his groove back. Like, don't worry about the minutes. Good play. If you were to take him out, like at the 7-minute mark, let him play the 6 minutes. Like, just get something in here where he's not worried about the minutes, the starting, all this other stuff. They've got to get him back in the fold. Like, they got to get him feeling confident, feeling good about his game. And I think the playing time has a lot to do with that.
Well, yeah, what you don't want is for him to get the yips.
Mm-hmm.
Become Chuck Knobloch out there and Steve Sachs and not be able to throw the ball to first base. And I think that's going to be the problem. We saw it even, let's go back to that loss to the Warriors. People forget, like, Kevin Huerter missed a free throw right before.
Yeah.
Right? Those are, like, you need to get him right, because he is a valuable player. He's a valuable piece to what you're trying to do. It doesn't matter that someone's pushing him for a starting job or not.
He's got to be. He's just got to be ready.
Either way,
simple as that. He's got to be ready to go.
Yeah, either way, you need him. You're going to need him.